I am really excited to show off one of the 4 new Narimi palettes. This one is called Night Spider. There are 8 shades and 3 of them are special shimmers. Here are the 3 gorgeous shimmers in the palette. We have Eardrop, which is a pink, green, and blue shimmer. We have Black Widow, which is a pink, green, and orange shimmer. And finally we have Tuberose, which is a blue, purple, green, pink color. Here is Eardrop. Here is Black Widow. Here is Tuberose. In the first set of mattes, we have Petal, which is a nice dark purple matte, Scabbish, which is a mauvey pink matte, and then Giddy, which is a bright, almost neon green matte. Here are the last 2 mattes. We have this blue matte here, which is called Spiderweb, and then we have a nice dark green matte called Venom. For this first look, I want to focus on the blues and the greens. For my crease, I'm going to start out with this blue shade called Spiderweb. One note about Narimi mattes is that they're extremely pigmented and they have a lot of kick up. So you can see in this shade here, I just lightly tap my brush into it and it's kind of everywhere. With a smaller crease brush, I'm going to use this dark green matte shade here called Venom. I have my Pat McGrath Intensify Shimmer Grasp on my lid and I'm going to go into this shimmer shade here called Tuberose. This shade is stunning. For my inner corner, I'm going to go into this neon green shade called Giddy. Okay, so these are all the shades that I'm going to use. I'm going to step away, do some finishing touches, and then I'll be back to show you my final look. For my bottom lash, I repeated the same matte, so I put this blue down first, followed by deepening up with this green. For my waterline, I use this Moira Cosmetics Multichrome Gel in the shade 03 Phoenix. For my brow and cheek highlight, I use this gorgeous single from Electrum Cosmetics. The shade is called Dawn. For blush, I use the combination of Taffy and Sweet Tooth. For my eyebrows, I use the Maybelline Superlock Brow Gel. For mascara, I use the forest green shade from Lethal Cosmetics called Relay. And for lipstick, I use the matte lip shade from Black Moon Cosmetics. This is the shade Purgatory. For this next look, I'm going to focus on the pinks and the purples. I'm going to start with this pink matte called Scabbish in my crease. This pink matte actually has a lot more purple to it than I thought, so it's a really nice mauve. Next I'm going to go into this deep purple matte here called Petal. I have my Pat McGrath Shimmer Grasp on, and now I'm going to use this shade Black Widow on my center lid. For my inner corner, I'm going to use this shade called Eardrop. So this is what we're looking like so far. I'm going to step away for some finishing touches and then I will be right back. Okay, and here is my finished look. For my bottom lash, I repeated the same mattes as I did on top, so I started with this pink mauve shade and I deepened it up with this dark purple. For my waterline, I used the Moira Cosmetics 01 Atlas shade. For mascara, I used the Lethal Cosmetics shade and Circuit. For blush, I used the Dandelions Cosmetics shades Anticipation and Candy Floss. For my brow and cheek highlight, I used this gorgeous shade from Electrum Cosmetics called Dusk. For my eyebrows, I used the Maybelline Superlock Brow Gel. And for my lips, I used the NYX Cosmetics Beetlejuice in the Purple Gray Lip Gloss shade. For For this final look, I'm just going to use all of the colors and we will see how this turns out. Okay, I'm going to start with this mauve-y pink purple matte called Scabbish in the crease. I feel like you just really need to see how pigmented this is. I mean, look, 2 little taps. I have so much pigment on my brush. Okay, so now I'm going to go into this dark green matte shade here called Venom for the inner and outer corners. At this point, I'm not surprised that Narimi's mattes are so pigmented, but I will always be delighted. So here is the hard part. I'm not actually sure which shimmer I want to use for my lid. Okay, I think I'm going to go into this blue shimmer here called Tuberose. This is the same one that I used in my first look. I'm going to put the shade down on top of the Pat McGrath shimmer grasp that I have on my center lid. This is definitely my favorite shade in the palette. For my inner corner, I will use this neon green shade here called Giddy. This is just such a good inner matte shade. For my brow highlight, I'm going to go into this pink shimmer here called Eardrop. It does have a base to it, so it might be too dark, but I'm going to try it anyways. That shade Eardrop definitely has a darker base than what I use for my brow highlight, but this is a very colorful look, so I feel like this fits in pretty well. Okay, so there are 2 matte shades that I haven't used yet. I'm going to use those for my bottom lash. So going in first with this dusty matte blue called Spiderweb, and then deepening it up with this purple matte here called Petal. The final shade I have left to use is Black Widow, which is this beautiful pink green shimmer shade. I'm going to place this shimmer just in the very, very center of my bottom lash. This is what we are looking like so far. I'll be back after some finishing touches. Here's my finished look. For my waterline, I used the Moira Cosmetics shade 03 Phoenix. For my brows, I used Maybelline Super Lock Gel. For my cheek, I used Eardrop as a blush lighter. For mascara, I used the Lethal Cosmetics shade in Relay for the top lash. For the bottom lash, I used Lethal Cosmetics shade in Reactor. And lastly, for lips, I used the NYX Cosmetics Beetlejuice lip gloss in the shade Grey Purple. This palette is super beautiful. I think that it is my favorite of the 4 new launches. You've got a wide mixture of shades so that you can get different looks even though there's only 8 shades in here. The shimmers in here are absolutely stunning. They're very smooth to the touch and they're easy to blend out. I haven't had any issues with creasing on any of the shimmers, which is always great. This Tuberose shimmer here is definitely my favorite in the palette. This palette has the same high quality that we expect from the Narimi palettes. Let me know what you think in the comments down below.